Vehicular entertainment. Test Miles with Nick Miles.
Well, it's Sunday morning, and that means it's time to spend the next hour talking about cars. Good morning. Welcome to Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles.
Yes! Yes!
That's a single clap from Andy.
Oh, that's
Everybody
all you
else
need.
in the room is still asleep.
Yeah, come on, guys, wake up.
My coffee hasn't kicked in just yet.
It hasn't?
No.
What about you, Brad?
I'm good. I've got kids. They got me up at 6:30 in the morning. I'm ready to go.
Excellent. That's it. That's the show.
Yeah,
Thanks for
okay.
joining us. We're here. We're done. This week, actually, a packed show for you. Got lots of stuff going on. We also we're going to talk a little bit about the fact the Portland Auto Show last week and snow that made the show miserable for everybody. That was just the most awful thing I can think of possibly happening. There's a giant convention center full of cars, clearly the best Portland Auto Show, and the snow happens.
People should have came down and tested the Subarus, and they could have got a great car, handled the snow.
And not only the Subarus out there, but I think most people actually were trying to test drive the four-wheel drives, the all-wheel drives that were available at the show. It was, however, the most brilliant Portland Auto Show that we've ever seen.
I regret not. I mean, I have an irrational fear of the ice, so I can't. I wasn't able to go.
Oh,
okay?
that's right. You weren't at the show.
Oh yeah. You just didn't even know that the giant guy of the show wasn't on the show. Yeah.
We did miss you, buddy.
I believe that you missed me. I wish I could have talked to Jeff, because that would have been a perfect opportunity for me to win that Mazda that they had for sale, or not for sale, but to win it and sign up and win. So it would have been a good opportunity. I could have got a free Mazda, but I didn't. So it's because of my irrational fear of ice. I'll grow up one day.
I don't think that there was that many people that actually got their entries in to win that Mazda at the
I got
auto
in
show.
multiple entries. I win every day. I put in my name, my wife's name, my in-laws, my parents.
Did you do your kids?
No, I didn't do the kids. Should have.
See, that's because that's two more.
Uh,
That would have been perfect.
poorly planned on my part.
Hey.
Still did not win.
That's all right.
So
All right, so what's on today's show? Well, lots of stuff. I have just come back from a week, several weeks, around the country test driving new cars. We went to Puerto Rico to test drive the new Mini Hardtop. I went to California to test drive the K900 at Newport Beach, and went on to test drive the Subaru STI, the new WRX STI in Carmel.
on the
So
racetrack, right?
on Laguna Seca.
Did you go fast, or was it just medium?
You think you go really fast, and then you get a professional driver who's behind you flashing his lights for you to pull over so he can pass you, and you feel kind of weak and kind of dumb. And inferior.
Did you get some hot laps with the drivers as well?
No. I mean, that's an option. But they were actually test driving the WRX, the actual WRX, which they're going to use at the Nürburgring. And the Japanese team were there, and the Japanese team test drove it, and were doing laps. And it was like, we were like in kiddie go-karts compared to those guys. I mean, it was like... That's a good impression of...
Yeah, do that again.
That's not bad.
The hand motions really sell it.
And there I was driving my WRX STI around the track, going like...
So what is that? Is that still 305?
305 horsepower,
Yeah.
boxer engine, nice low center of gravity. It actually, if you look at the numbers, it outperforms an awful lot of the Porsches. The Porsche Carrera S, it outperforms in several things like steering and that sort of thing. So
The Mini has a Porsche engine in it?
no,
The Subaru has a Porsche engine.
it outperforms the Porsche Carrera S.
The Porsche has the Porsche engine.
It does have
I
a
see.
boxer engine, though.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I get it.
So I test drove that on Laguna Seca. So I mean, and then Sean and I spent a week, not a week, several days at the Chicago Auto Show just before Portland, and we saw a bunch of new cars revealed, including the new Subaru Legacy, which I like.
I like it too. I mean, it actually has a great interior for Subaru, and just it looks nice. It doesn't have the boxy edges. It doesn't look like a squished out back. I can't wait to actually drive that car.
Yeah, they've done a really good job in styling of that. And the interior, Subaru have gone to Alcantara. If you're not sure what Alcantara is, I'm not sure either, but it's not, it's like suede, but it's not leather. It's man-made.
Now, the front grill's substantially different, right? It looks a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, there's sort of a larger intake for more air. It's also sort of wider and bigger hips. It's a lot more shapely than Subarus have been in the past. They've been fairly square. But now they're sort of rounding out the hips and the lines are getting lower, bigger daylight opening space.
So if
Brad,
if you don't think cars are sexy, that's why we refer to them as she.
Why I was just Nick's over here mentioning things being curvy and sexy, and Brad's over here undressing me with his eyes.
All right, so that's the main things that are on the show as well. We've also been doing some of our test drive vehicles, which we like to take the vehicles out and record our reaction when we get to drive them. We're also going to be talking to somebody from VW today, and hopefully somebody from Mini as well. And
Yeah, we got someone from Mini. We got it.
Are we ready to go with Patrick?
I think so. We do have him on the
Let's
phone.
see if he's on the phone.
Let me get that going here.
You were pressing the right buttons. This is
Yep.
the first week we're in the studio, by the way, so Andy got a crash course in how to run a radio show.
I literally came in here about 20 minutes ago, and I hit every single button in the board, and everyone kind of freaked out, but I punched every button.
Before we get to Patrick, just want to mention our listener of the day is Zhenya Tilly from, I was going to say Newburgh. He used to live in Newburgh, but now he lives in Sherwood, and he is my biggest fan, and he knows more about cars than all four of us put together. So he is our listener today. Patrick, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can. Good morning. How are you?
Great. Doing well.
Let me introduce Patrick to everyone. Patrick is he owns Mini basically. He's the big
man.
he is the head of PR. Is that right, Patrick?
Actually, the head of product planning.
Product planning,
And,
right.
and with a touch of PR.
And a touch of swashbuckling PR.
Well, Pat, I don't know if Nick sent you my information, but I'm 32 years young and I don't drive. However, I told Nick from the get-go that as soon as I got my license, the first car that I wanted was a Mini Cooper, the Bowman edition. So if there's any way that you could set that up for me,
This is Andy looking for a free car, right?
that would be great, because I would commit to learning to drive in a Mini, and then that way we could just go ahead and promote the heck out of it, being the biggest guy in a Mini ever invented, and then I could just have my Bowman, and everyone, it's a win-win.
Awesome. That's what we like to hear.
Do you know?
We have some really tall owners. We put them on our website. We have people 6'6", 6'8", fit in the car, no problem.
Sounds like there's a chance then, I think, Pat, that I could be getting a Mini at my house.
Pat, it's interesting.
Owners, there's a great dealer in town, so you could become an owner, but
Look at this guy, smooth as silk.
Yeah, that was nice.
Pat, we spent a little time in Puerto Rico together recently test driving the new Mini hardtop. And how many years in the States now for Mini?
So we are 12. So we came in March of 2002 is when Mini came back to the U.S. after being away since 1967. So it was a long hiatus.
And this new Mini, this latest generation of Mini, is kind of a little bit of a departure from how Minis have been in the past, because they've been fairly straightforward plain vehicles, but I think every single inch of this Mini is loaded with new tech, isn't it?
Yeah, it's our third generation, as we say, new Mini, and this one is just re-engineered from the ground up. It's a little bit bigger, but the styling is definitely familiar. As a Mini, you will recognize it as an old friend, but a lot of new technology, new engines, 3- and 4-cylinder engines that are more powerful, more fuel efficient, and a whole bunch of technology that we see in much more expensive cars.
The thing I love about this new Mini is, first of all, it's absolutely quiet on the inside. It's like, Mini, you spent a long time making sure this vehicle rode smoothly and was quiet and responded amazingly well, didn't you?
Absolutely. So we reduced the road noise by like 4 decibels and the wind noise by 3 decibels. But the thing we say about a Mini is it's got go-kart handling. We want you to, really enjoy the road and have fun. So you can still hear the engine, but it's a little bit quieter than the existing car.
And all this new tech, including sort of pedestrian warning systems and cruise control, are now available on a Mini for the first time, right?
Yeah, so we have things like active cruise control, so you can it'll see the car in front of you and slow down and speed up accordingly. Head-up display. It's got a rear-view camera, which we know are in a lot of other cars, but it's the first time it's coming to Mini. And as you mentioned, pedestrian detection, so it can see some pedestrians in front of you, front collision avoidance, so a lot of cool things.
And driving this car, it definitely has the go-kart handling that I'm used to in a Mini. One of my favorite cars for in-city driving because it's really nippy. You can get around other cars on the inside. But not only that is you've also given the car keeping all those attributes and the look of a Mini, definitely recognizable as a Mini. You've also given it this sort of new look on the inside as well with LED lighting that is actually functional and a new navigation screen, right?
Yeah, so 12 years ago we said we were really the first premium small car. So we're kind of reinventing what premium small car is, and that means like just an amazing interior, really cool, and it's fun. It's got this LED lighting throughout, leather-wrapped multifunction steering wheel comes with every car, and then we've got in the center instrument, as we call it, if you have the cars with Mini connected, a full, app integration with your iPhone, and now for the first time with Android phones as well.
And I really like the fact that the navigation system inside this is so, A, easy to use, and B, clear. That large screen in the center of the dash, which Mini is famous for, which originally was the Speedo, is now the navigation system, and it's one of the cleanest navigations I've seen.
Oh, that's good to hear. I mean, I think the designers did a fantastic job with really re-engineering that whole center part of the car. So now it's a real key part of the technology, but it's just fun. It makes you smile. We have the LED lighting in the center, so when you change the air conditioning or anything, the whole thing turns red or blue depending on cold or hot. When you back up, it goes green, yellow, red as you get close to an object. So it's kind of like a mood ring. It's like the soul of the car in the middle.
There's a joke in there somewhere, but I'll probably save it for when we get off the air. I also want to tell everybody that Pat and his team put on this most amazing presentation that they had it on the beach in Puerto Rico. Not only did we have this great singer who sang one of my favorite Elton John songs, Made in England, the cars drove onto the beach, and then these what I thought initially were punks were messing around on skidoos in the water behind her, and I was like, stop it, she's singing, get away, go use another beach. And then suddenly it was sort of all fell into place where they were actually in sync, and then these guys came out of the water on these sort of jet packs attached to their feet and were 20 feet off the water dancing around. Almost made me cry with joy. Elton John and guys 20 feet off of the water skating around, and breakfast with Minnie. That was probably the most I would say outlandish and perfect launch for the car, Pat.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to celebrate that we are made in England. We're actually made in Oxford, England, and it's at a plant that has just passed the 100-year mark of producing cars.
Excellent.
Not producing Minis that whole time, but producing cars in Oxford, England for 100 years. So we're very proud of being British.
Excellent job. Well done. Thank you for joining us this morning, Pat. We will, if you want a Mini, we have a fabulous Mini dealer who's out on just outside the city limits on Canyon there, I think, or Beaverton-Hillsdale Highway, right outside of the city limits, just coming into Beaverton. So they will be more than happy to show you around their new Mini fleet. Thanks, Pat, for joining us this morning, and congratulations on your new Mini.
Great to be with you, Nick. Take care.
All right. That's Patrick, who is the product guy from Mini. You're listening to Test Miles. Here's our little test drive of one of our cars we did recently.
Vehicular Entertainment. Test Miles with Nick Miles.
We're inside the BMW 3 Series, and this is a GT, a 335iX. Oh, red light. I also have to be ready to stop on a dime, which I'm glad to say this BMW does. Stops on a dime. The 3 Series, the best-selling sports sedan in America, BMW have finally put together the mixture between a sports car, a station wagon, and the 3 Series with their GT. I love that. GT Grand Tourer. And the idea is, instead of a regular trunk on the 3 Series, it has sort of a sloping trunk, which is more like a hatchback. I am in love with this car. Although it starts around $42,000, I would have no trouble exchanging the coinage for this version of the car. Now, they've also made the GTs a little bigger and a little more powerful. The X denoting it is all-wheel drive, and this has a 6-cylinder.
For the longest time, thanks for clarifying that, because I thought GT meant go time.
Most of the time, GT means Grand Tourer or Grand Touring, and this is why this car is really extra special, because it's designed to take on road trips. Extra large trunk space. The trunk in the back of this is absolutely massive. It has compartments underneath. It has the sloping glass back window, which gives you that extra space. Very comfortably seats 5 passengers, a little extra legroom, and a lot of extra panache inside this vehicle. The heads-up display projects your time and your navigation on the screen, and little messages like, ooh, Andy doesn't have his seatbelt on. Something I noticed about the heads-up display, kind of cool, when it's projected in your windshield. At the daytime, it's projected in white, but at night, as soon as your lights come on, it goes to an orange color.
Even though it's a sports sedan, coming from the passenger's point of view, it kind of feels like a big old 8 Series. I mean, it's extremely comfortable, yet sporty and quick and precise and to the point. I appreciate that.
You're listening to Test Miles on FM News 101. I'm Nick Miles, and now, by the magic of radio, we're going back to the studio.
This is Test Miles with automotive expert Nick Miles. Vehicular Entertainment. Test Miles with Nick Miles.
It's Sunday morning, which means there's a party in the studio here. We're talking cars on Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles, joined with Brad and Sean and Andy in the studio this morning. And Sean and I just spent the week, or part of the week, in Newport Beach in California, where we test drove the new Kia K900. If you weren't familiar with this car, it's basically a 7 Series BMW competitor, a full-size Mercedes S-Class for about $30,000 less than you would buy it from Mercedes. Now, who could think that Kia would do a car for $68,000? Most people are like, $68,000 for a Kia? That's silly money.
Does that mean you get 2?
No, you actually get 1, but it's quite a car. It's Sean and I both like the car. Sean, tell me what you liked about the new Kia K900.
I think it's well worth every penny of it. You get in, and there's this white leather, black piano wood. It's very beautiful inside. The back seats recline. Andy, you would love it. The back seat's even massage, heated, cooling. Yeah, it's awesome in the back.
What? That's what I'm talking about. Finally.
You had me at back seats recline.
Yeah, I just want to get my recline going and a little lower lumbar massage while I'm getting driven around about town.
You might have seen that Morpheus from The Matrix, Fishburne himself, did the Kia ad, and he does his whole thing of, the wool of luxury has been pulled over your eyes. And he does that whole thing, and then it's the K900, and he sings some Nessun Dorma in the back of the car. It was a great, by the way, I said in my Fox News segment, which I did last week, that was my favorite Super Bowl ad. The car, however, is also fabulous. It's a V8, a rear-wheel drive. It has all the accoutrements you could possibly imagine. A great car, the new Kia K900. You're listening to Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles, and this is FM News 101.
This is Test Miles with automotive expert Nick Miles. Vehicular Entertainment. Test Miles with Nick Miles.
FM News 101, good morning. Good Sunday morning to you. I am Nick Miles, just past 10:30, and you're with Test Miles, myself, Brad, Sean, and Andy, all in the studio. And joining us on the phone, the VW Senior Manager for Product Communications, Mark Gillis. Good morning, Mark.
Morning. How are you, Nick?
I am fabulous. Now, clearly we will be able to tell from those words that you're a British man, so it's all the English guys this morning on the show.
Yeah, it was a recolonization, I always say, so, or an attempt anyway.
I feel like I'm in Britain right now. Hello,
I have to tell you a story about Mark. He's a pretty amazing individual. At the LA Auto Show this year, VW brought out several fairly substantial vehicles, including the XL1 and also this Superbug. And I thought I was a pretty good driver, racing it around the parking lot of the stadium. But when we saw Mark get in that car, he blew me away. You had some fun in that little Super Beetle, didn't you?
Oh, it's good fun, that car. Yeah, it's 500 horsepower and all-wheel drive, so it's a pretty good recipe for automotive fun. Yeah.
So I also should mention we can't avoid the elephant in the room, but we're obviously not union people, but on Friday, the VW guys at the plant in Chattanooga voted not to become part of a union and to continue, which is kind of good news for VW, right? Because that means continued growth in the U.S., Mark.
Basically, I mean, we're looking, we wanted the workers to decide their own future. And, I think the word is from Germany that we'd still like to organize a German-style works council. So, I mean, there's, the workers decided what they wanted to decide. And we'll see where that goes from.
So let's get on to product, which is why you're here, and let's talk about a couple of things. First of all, the recent Portland International Auto Show, Daryl Harrison came up and talked to us about some of the new things that you're doing, but he also showed us that diesels in this part of the world, in the Northwest, are a primary makeup of what VW sells. I think over 50% of certain models in Portland are diesel cars. It's a big deal for you, isn't it, the diesel engine?
Yeah, I think, we've got a lot of alternative powertrains that get really good mileage. And I think diesel is, for American drivers, a really, really good way to go because you get a lot of torque. So when you're entering an on-ramp or whatever, it's pretty good on the acceleration. But the gas mileage is really good. And there's no real trade-offs with a diesel, whereas, with certain other types of powertrain, you can say there are slight trade-offs in the way they operate. So, I mean, I like diesels a lot. I mean, I'm running a sport wagon diesel at the moment, and we get great mileage, and it's fun to drive as well.
I think one of the things about diesel is it's about 30% savings on fuel when you have a diesel, isn't it?
There's a slight difference. The fuel cost is slightly more, but you get somewhere around 25-30% better gas mileage than a comparable gasoline engine car. So over time, there are savings to be had with a diesel.
I think one of my favorite cars is the Passat diesel. When I designed it online at VW.com, it was about $32,000. But not only do you have that vehicle, you also have this pretty cool Jetta hybrid, and I found it different from a lot of the other hybrid vehicles because backing in and out of a parking space, it didn't have that clunk of going into the electric and into the gas. It was a very smooth operator.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slightly different system to the standard one that basically Toyota patented that a lot of other manufacturers use. So we actually use a clutch system to disconnect the engine from the electric motor, or from the drivetrain, I should say. So you can actually be driving along on the freeway, and the engine will switch off, and it will disconnect the engine from the drive wheels, and you can actually coast, which helps for fuel savings. We also use a dual clutch transmission, which seems to work really well in that powertrain.
You've also got a new family of engines, haven't you? The 1.8s.
Yeah, we have. We've got a couple of new families of engines. So it's called EA 888 Generation 3. So the 2-litre version of that came out last spring in GLI Jetta and the Beetle Turbo. And then in the summer we had a 1.8 version of that, which replaces, it's a turbocharged direct injection engine, and it replaced the 2.5-litre 5-cylinder that we had in Passat and Beetle and Jetta. And then this summer, the diesel engine that we've been using is going to be replaced by a newer, more fuel-efficient engine called EA 288.
And that's going to get better fuel economy by how much?
We're looking at the moment, it's sort of up in the air because the final calibration is yet to be done. But, I mean, we're looking for, say, Jetta, which I think gets 42 on the highway, looking somewhere in the 44 to 46 range. Whoa. So somewhere between 2 and 4 mpg better.
You're getting on the edge of Prius money there. That's almost hybrid cars just from a diesel.
Yeah, and the other thing that's interesting about diesels is in real-world driving, we've found the owners, they go onto fueleconomy.gov, and they actually say they get much better mileage than the EPA numbers. And I know from personal experience, if you do a lot of highway driving, I had a diesel Golf, and that's really somewhere around 40 to 50 out of it, and not driving like, one of these hypermiler types.
Right, and let's talk a little bit before we let you go about the new GTI or the new Golf. Is there a GTI version of it yet, or is it just the new Golf so far?
Actually, no. The new GTI goes on sale late spring this year, and it actually goes on sale at the same time as the 1.8-litre engine car, and the TDI version goes on sale a couple of months later. So this year we've got brand new Golf. In the fall, we've got late fall, we've got an electric Golf going on sale, which is our first battery electric vehicle. And then in winter this year, we've got the Golf R, which is the most powerful Golf we've ever produced, go on sale, and that's got 290 horsepower estimated.
Oh, I'm already super excited about that. Let me ask you this question: could you take me for a ride in the new GTI? I'd like to have you at the wheel and show me what that car can do. The next opportunity, would you do that for me?
I would, but actually we're hoping that when we do the launch, we'll have Tanner Faust on hand, and he's a bit better shoe than I am, so he's even more entertaining, I can assure you.
I'll bring my own diapers. We'll be ready. We'll be ready for that one. All right. Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're looking forward to what's going on at VW. If people want to get more information about VW, where can they go?
VW.com. It's a simple place to go.
All right, my friend. We'll look forward to a ride in that new GTI, and we'll look forward to seeing those new engines this spring. Have yourself a good day.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Nick.
No
Bye.
problem. So this is Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles, and we have been test driving some more cars. This is what we got up to recently.
Vehicular entertainment. Test Miles with Nick Miles.
In our in-car review this week, we're going to be driving the Mazda CX-9. This is what we're inside right now. Sean's joining me for the test drive. Sean, you're in the passenger seat today, and give me an around passenger view of what you think of the CX-9.
Well, it's nice, big, and comfortable. I mean, they have some nice suede on the side, which is shocking for a Japanese car. I've never really seen a Japanese car try to put higher-end materials in their vehicles.
The controls are very angulated on the doors. I kind of like the idea that it's the same shape as your hand. So tuck your elbow into your side. I want everyone to do this with me right now. So sit there, put your elbow into your ribs on your side, and then put your hand at about a 45-degree angle. And that's exactly where all the switches come. On the interior center stack, you'll find from a driver's point of view that all the controls are fairly angulated as well.
So the engine in this vehicle is a 3.7-liter V6 engine that is cranking out 273 horsepower.
273 horsepower for a vehicle this size is fairly good. Now, but you do need extra horsepower if you are hauling 7 passengers. But for just the two of us, plenty of power, some good overtaking power. I'm actually driving down 205 right now, and if I want to kick it up a notch, I'm going to push it into the fast lane and get around this truck. And interestingly enough, catching up on a Miata, just touch the accelerator and it flies. So good power, good response. What about fuel economy, Sean?
Fuel economy is average 18 miles. It's 16 in the city and 22 on the highway, which isn't that bad for this size of a vehicle because it is pretty big and heavy.
All right, that is our test drive of the Mazda CX-9. Now this.
This is Test Miles with automotive expert Nick Miles. Vehicular entertainment. Test Miles with Nick Miles.
Into the last segment of Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles, Sean Brand, and Andy here this morning, FM News 101 KXL. If you'd like more information to listen back to this show, testmiles.com is where you go. You can also hook up with us on Facebook and Twitter at the same location. We've had a lot going on this week. We've had some great guests on the show this morning. We want to recap some of the vehicles we've been driving. Sean, you had a chance to join me in a test drive of the new Cadillac ELR, which is their electric, full-line electric vehicle.
Yeah, and they're calling it the Tesla Killer. It doesn't look like your average electric vehicle, too. It looks like a CTS concept coupe. It's a beautiful car. Get around 82 miles per gallon with that. I love the interior and the insides of it because the technology in it is just fantastic. They have the safety systems where if you cruise out of your lane, basically you get a little vibration in your seat. They have the They have their queue system, which in me is a little technical, but it's fantastic. It's like your smartphone. You could adjust the navigation and everything on your display.
I think one of the things that I like about any GM car, and I use it more and more and impress my friends. I went out last night with my friends, Dr. and Mrs. Tilley, and we went to dinner. And on the after dinner, we said, well, let's go to Pixar's pastry restaurant on Burnside. And I press the OnStar button, and I say to the OnStar, could you send navigation information to the car and how to get to Pixar's on Burnside? She says, right, so it's all done. And then you press the button on the navigation, and it sends you right there. I mean, they do it. They find the restaurant, they do it for you. And I use that. I'm telling you, I would buy OnStar in a car just because that is my favorite part of any GM vehicle. Plus, if you crash your vehicle, it notifies them if the airbags go off. It's great. The queue system I like inside this vehicle better than a lot of people. It is a little bit hard to operate. One of the things that I've heard complaints of is that you have to kind of wave your thumb or your finger over the buttons. They don't always work as well the way people want them to.
It doesn't, and that's kind of my big problem with it, because the way they have it is there's chrome accent right under where you're supposed to push, but your eye just wants you to push the chrome accent, and it's not you. It's kind of like a smartphone where you have to touch a certain spot on the navigation or anything to make it work.
So it's not exactly all electric, though, because it has the gas engine, which is the range extender.
Right, but it is an electric car. But the
electric
gas
car.
engine is a generator that charges the electric or makes electricity so you can use. So it's technically an electric car. It does qualify for the government federal discount of $7,500, but there is a gasoline portion of it. And I'm getting around 40 miles a gallon once I'm using the gas.
And I think you get, up to 350 miles or something like that?
On the gas.
On the gas.
Yeah, and it's about 35 miles on this electric charge. Let's talk about the one thing about this car that I really don't like. It's $40,000 more than I want to pay for the car.
Ah,
It's $82,000.
what?
It's $82,000
For what?
for the car that we're driving.
It is expensive, but once you start getting into it with all the technology, it's a great car. I agree with you that it's expensive, but it's a fun drive, and once you get into it, it's better, and you start feeling with it, because they have this system, like when you actually get into the car, it's like this Adobe sound system that just lights up, the gauges light up with the smoke, and a Cadillac symbol comes up. Makes you feel like you're getting into something special.
Here's Sean right now. Ooh, something shiny. Ooh, something shiny. Ooh, something shiny.
Squirrel.
Here's the question. Cadillac ELR, Maserati Ghibli.
They're the
this-
two different animals. Ghibli's a 4-door, ELR's a 2-door.
I know.
You know, I'm. What would I buy? That would be a tough choice, but probably the Ghibli. What have you been driving this week, Brad?
So from the sublime to the ridiculous, I've had what is perfect for my lifestyle, and everybody gives me a bad time. I had a minivan, and they still do exist, and they exist for a reason.
Brad, the minivan man.
They are
Jeez.
fantastic. So I've had the new Nissan
On your way
Quest.
out the studio, could you hand Andrew your man card today,
I
please?
have
Yeah, I'm gonna
already
punch a
long
hole in
ago
it.
given that up.
Yeah, I'm punching the hole in that one.
And there's a couple of features that are fantastic in the new Nissan Quest. The seats fold down with the little buttons in the back, and that's all great. The center console in the middle you can pull out, so it's easy to get back to the back seat. But what every parent and minivan owner needs is a fantastic entertainment system. And this has that, because the movie will come on. So you plug the kids in to get them into the car as you're trying to load up or do whatever. The movie could come on, and you can monitor and get it going very quickly. It's a
So
really
it's an
great
easy
system.
operated entertainment system.
Very easy to operate. And what it has in the rear view, it's a split screen system. So when you're backing up, it gives you a 360 view of the vehicle as well as your backup camera. Comes in really handy, not only to save lives, but bicycles and skateboards,
Nice.
things like that.
Does it have hookups to be able to put like a PlayStation in it?
Absolutely.
Sold. Okay.
It has
Now
all
it's
that
worth it.
stuff. I actually need to start traveling with my PlayStations when I have a minivan to test drive. Andrew, what don't you have?
What don't I have? Oh, yeah. Oh, great. Yeah, Nick, way to bring it up. Let's just go ahead and pick on Andy today. I
What
don't
have you
a
been
license.
writing in?
I've been writing in all the cars that Nick has. What do you got right now? You got a...
We brought you in the Acura RDX today, but you still don't have a driver's license,
I
right?
still don't. You know, I went with my girlfriend. She let me kind of, sort of play with her car, and I took it out of park.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah. I took it out of park, and then I had an anxiety attack and I had to get out
We
because
should
the car.
take you go-kart racing or
Brad,
something.
can we,
car
what
kinda
are we doing?
moved.
What are we doing about setting up and getting this guy a driver's license?
We're going to PIR. We'll do it this week.
Yeah, Brad hooked it up so I can go ruin PIR.
He was uncomfortable in walking in the snow. Could you imagine last week driving in the snow?
Well, I could. There's okay. I know I'm not the only one. Every fat person in the existence of fat people is scared horrifically of variable terrain, including ice. So no, thank you.
All right, you've done explaining yourself. You're listening to Test Miles. I'm Nick Miles. Join us at testmiles.com. We love you. Thanks for being here. We'll be back again next Sunday.
This is Test Miles with automotive expert Nick Miles.